That's right. That's right. Welcome to the bottom of the rabbit hole. We are live right now. I want to welcome our returning guests, Starshwar and Vesuvius. Say hello to the class, fellas.
Pleasure to be back.
What's up, Red Pills? Here we go.
Here we go. Shout out to everyone who's already in the room. Please make sure you like the stream as you enter the lecture hall. We're going to pick up where we left off last week. We've got Metalogic, uh, the train man of the Discord in the house. Um, I see you, Spider Man, Matrix Spider Man in the building. Yellow pillars pile up on in the room. We want to pick up exactly where we left off. Actually, there's a couple things, nothing crazy. But today's the 26th. So yesterday, the Matrix Resurrections became available on whatisthematrix.com. Do I have a visual for that? I might not have a visual. Oh, I do. Let's put that up on the screen here. There you go. So yeah, it's time to re-enter the Matrix. Own the Matrix Resurrections now and watch it instantly. Whatisthematrix.com. So basically, when you click that, you go to the website and the trailer pops up. But once you watch the trailer or minimize the trailer, these are the different platforms you can own it on digital today. Since it's not on HBO Max at this time, I just now noticed that AMC Theaters on demand icon. It's grayed out, but as a stockholder, I should be able to access that. I don't have to look into that. But yeah, I went ahead and grabbed it on Google Play just so that I can have access to it if I need it between now and the availability of a hard copy.
Yeah, I looked at the specs they announced for the Blu-ray. No deleted scenes or extended cuts. So maybe keep our fingers crossed down the line. We'll get that Ancient Johnson footage.
Yeah, no, dude. How long was it before the Ultimate Matrix collection came out? Was that like
Ooh,
05?
that's well. Here's the thing. You also got to remember there was some format wars in there. I think that went to HD DVD first, then Blu-ray like a year later, maybe.
Mm,
I want to
see?
say 2004-ish.
For
Really?
DVD.
For
But
yeah, yeah.
that'd be. What am I doing talking about this? I'll get that in. Oh, am I disconnected?
I still hear you.
Oh,
I can
good.
hear you.
All right.
Yeah,
Now,
I like taking a stab at a guess. I'm just thinking like kind of going into Matrix Online, whether I had that package of 10 DVDs with the digital code.
well, that's what I'm saying.
And I
I
think I did.
definitely remember having it while playing Matrix Online, for sure.
And they
Now,
had that promo for it on like the normal release of Revolutions, but I think Ultimate set came later.
right.
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, I had all 3 DVDs, and I might have had at least one of the revisited, and then maybe 2005 or so.
How big was Matrix back then when they sold the making of separately and that was a big deal? No one can do that anymore.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna ask that. I was gonna ask. You bought that individually? That wasn't. I think I only ever saw it as the Ultimate Matrix collection.
I got it
Oh,
separately back in the day.
oh, I
Nice.
went to Blockbuster and rented revisited separately.
I love the blockbuster reference.
My first exposure to Matrix, the first time I saw it was renting the VHS from Blockbuster. And that's how good it was. Cropped to 4:3 and on a TV with mono sound, it was still one of the coolest things I'd ever seen in my life.
Mhm. Yeah,
Everything I see here says that the Ultimate set was sometime in 2004 on DVD, later for other formats.
Wow. Okay, so I was just late to that party then.
I just I was aware of it. I just chose not to double dip until some years later when I got the Blu-rays. I love Matrix, but I was happy with the versions I had.
Well, and that was the thing too. I mean, I did have to debate because I know I'm going to get a hard copy when it's available. So I was like, I did watch it a few times on HBO Max, and I was like, you know what, just in case I have to check something, or with everything we do here, I'll just grab it. I actually I got it on Google, so it's got to be streamed through the web browser. But at least if I need to, go reference something right away, I can access that. In the meantime, between time, um, right, and before we get into the topics that we were running out of time for last week, just real quick, because we were also last week talking about a Beyond the Glitch watch party. So right, and I didn't get to check your guys' schedule in prep, but yeah, we'll definitely do that. But last week, or rather this week, what I did was oh no, it was last week, but the poll ended on Twitter yesterday. So here's the poll. So it's cool because usually there's like a bigger difference. But I asked you guys on Twitter and on the community tab on YouTube, which live stream commentary format should we use for the Beyond the Glitch watch party? And watch then discuss after has about 41.7% and is in the lead on Twitter. But then when you jump over to YouTube, it's like 42% or something like that. I don't want to vote and like skew the numbers, but if I pull it up over here, maybe I can see it because I'm not logged in. Yeah, it's 42%. So both polls being that close was kind of odd, but you guys have spoken, so that's how we're going to do that. Like I said, I'm not sure which day next week. I'll check with these guys and figure out scheduling. So make sure you're following myself and Vesuvius on Twitter at Vesuvius MxO and at NeoMatrixology, so you can find out when we do that. I'm sure that I'll post something, or rather, I think like if I set the premiere, notification gang, we'll see what time or what day we're doing it, or what evening we're doing it rather. So like I said, make sure if you haven't already to subscribe. That way you will get all these updates. YouTube isn't the greatest with notifications, as we all know. But like I said, I'll definitely be tweeting that out as well. Was there any other... V, did you run into any Matrix news? I guess right. There was some award nominations, correct?
Yeah, there was. I can't produce the name of the award nomination, but yeah, and it's not the first award. There was a couple other awards.
Right, there was like a run of them, right?
Yeah, and didn't Warner kind of make them eligible for certain awards? Even I recall seeing Christina Ricci, her name as like supporting actress, and I was like, oh, so she's gonna have like a part. And then it turns out she kind of she's in there, but she really
she's
doesn't
in
have
there.
like a part. She
But
doesn't
that's what I'm saying. If somebody's getting supporting actress, it better be my girl Lexi. It better be Aaron Deere if we're giving out supporting actress awards. Her performance and delivery
She had
was
one
on point.
scene, right? Ricci?
I'd say 2 solid. But she had lines in a couple spots. That's what I'm saying. And the
That's not like award
tiny
type.
bit.
My point is, if they were pushing for her to get an award for that, there have to be more scenes of her that were cut.
You talking about Christina Ricci?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, because Lexi has more screen time than her.
Yeah, she
that's already not a lot.
she's with Neo in the boardroom, and then is she the one whose husband jumps out the window in the big chase?
I don't think so. I think that's a random.
Okay. Well, then, yeah, I'm pretty sure she's the victim of, not victim, but she was sacrificed to the editing process.
The cutting room floor.
Yes, that's the term I was looking for.
Yeah, shout out to Kavion Davis, Jay Scotty, Scorp Trio. We see you. Thank you guys for being here. I did find at least the last one that they tweeted. If I can share my screen real quick. Yeah, that's the Matrix Resurrection has been nominated for the MPEG 700 Golden Reel Award for Outstanding Achievement in Sound Editing, Feature Dialogue ADR. feature effects, Foley, and feature music. Congratulations to the entire music department on your incredible work. And then a big round of applause goes out to the visual effects team. The Matrix movie, their outstanding work has earned 2 nominations for this year's FX Society Awards. The SAG Awards has nominated the Matrix movie for outstanding action performance by a stunt ensemble and a motion picture. Congrats to the talented stunt team. So yeah, so they're oh, excuse me, and I missed this one. Congratulations to the Matrix. I don't know what that acronym is for, but it's at Local 706 Makeup and Hair Stylist Guild. There you go. Nomination: Best Contemporary Hairstyling, Feature Length Motion Picture. Definitely shout out to the hairstyling department, right? That's who's responsible for the that old ice cream leak, right? That was a hairstylist, right?
Makeup?
Or was she costume?
I think she was makeup.
Makeup.
Shunikat.
Yeah, makeup artist. Yeah, makeup artist and hairstylist. Yeah. You win that award, girl.
Yep, January. Man, you broke that in January.
Okay, yeah, I think that's it on the awards there. So that's the Matrix news and updates from the last week that we missed. What were you gonna say, V?
There's one more thing, and when you were reading the award nomination, the stunt ensemble, we had that 3-minute cut of The Jump.
Facts. Right. And then it's got the rig that Ellen Hallman's husband helped design.
Yep. Yeah, very cool jump. I mean, when we first saw that, the YouTube leaks, I was like, wow, that's crazy. I wonder if that's supposed to be Neo and Trinity. And then it turns out it's really Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss. And then, man, everything that they had to go through for that. They spent months training for that.
Yeah, no, I'll admit, when everybody was breaking it and talking about Trinity has new powers and all that stuff, that was one of the ones I was like skeptical because, like, the shot that I saw was clearly a stunt double. It wasn't Keanu Reeves. He had like blonde hair or something. So I was like, I don't know. Let's just wait until we see it. So yeah, I'll admit that was one of the conclusions that a lot of the internet jumped to early that ended up panning out.
Glad I dodged all that.
Yeah. I was happy to be prepared, man. Like that's actually a whole nother conversation.
Yeah. Again, I'm not too hot on the movie, but at least I got to appreciate that scene and be surprised by it was fun.
We'll circle back to that real quick because I saw Kavion Davis said anything news for Matrix 5, and Metalogic replied, I've heard Matrix 5 wasn't happening. So I've seen headlines for both, right? But that's all internet. We're just talking. None of that is concrete for either side of the question or argument, however you want to word that. What I will say is I keep hearing and seeing TV, Animatrix 2.0 or Origins, the Village Roadshow CEO before the movie even came out. So that's the route that I'm leaning. I think we'll see at the very least the Unreal Engine 5 Matrix Awakens might be next on the release list. I'm hoping that we were talking about this in prep a little bit, that Animatrix, whether it be 2.0 Origins or both, works out. I imagine that's going to be the TV series installment, as that's how it was described on IMDb, which we looked at last week.
I thought Awakens was literally just that tech demo. That was not going to be anything more than that.
As far as to date, I believe you are correct, but I
love to be wrong.
Yeah, well, or rather that might change. My thing is, I would be very disappointed to see them drop that ball.
When they spent that much money making that, and if that's all that is going to be, that
right.
would, because I'm sure more money went into making that demo than the 3 previous actual games.
Right, and once they have the 3D models, they can just use Neo and Trinity for whatever they want to do. So it'd be just a huge waste. I want to believe they're better than that.
Well, maybe not so much better. I think it's just whoever writes the checks and seeing, we lost how many on this? How many hundreds of million? or 50 million, whatever.
I don't know.
Again,
I don't know that. I mean, again, we don't have all the numbers, so I don't
that's
know that.
true.
You know,
That's true.
we just looked at straight box office numbers
Right.
last week. You know, we don't have
Right.
the HBO Max
Right.
subscriptions.
Yeah.
We
Believe
don't have
me.
whatever the streaming numbers
Believe
that
me.
just came in
I
yesterday.
want whatever secret Hollywood math that gets us more Matrix to work out that way. It doesn't have to make sense to me. It just has to work. I'm not. I'm always going to be up for more. Uh, gripes with 4 aside, but enough about everyone's got an opinion on that. I've got the crazy ass opinion that Matrix Online still counts.
Well,
So
it definitely still counts to me.
oh yeah, but I think I can prove it was yeah. But not to
Right,
not
no,
to
but
jump
we're
ahead of
ready. I mean,
ourselves.
I think we've covered everything that we've missed in the past week since our last discussion. So I always like to get the new stuff routed off
Oh, for
first. So
sure.
yeah, so let's parlay into picking up where we left off.
Right.
Where
Mini
did we leave
recap.
off?
All right. Well, mini recap.
I
And the
know
full.
for sure we didn't get into whatever you were going to say about the Oracle. That we didn't get into.
I think we did.
We did? I thought you were saving that. No, you did not fully
I
elaborate on that.
okay. All right. Well, last we left off, we're talking about GI Joe and Die Another Day. So a little bit before that.
Right.
All right. A little. All right. Lay recap a little bit because I think I saw a couple people post in chat that they didn't get last week. So very 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 briefly, it is my belief that Matrix Resurrections does not retcon Matrix Online, and that by using elements present in both works, the two in fact complement each other, and everything's canon and everybody's happy. Again, I'm just doing bullet points here. The whole thing, I believe, it's up on Vesuvius's Lazarus. It's up on your YouTube channel still.
Yes.
Didn't get taken down for that GI Joe footage.
So it was a copyright claim, not a
Mhm.
strike. So it's still up. What that means is any
Super.
analytics or advertising revenue they get, which is fine.
Yo, Joe.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I encourage everyone to watch that because I'm probably already forgotten stuff. But to make a long story short, I believe that due to the events of Matrix Online, wherein Niobe suffered great trauma at the loss of seeing Morpheus die, consuming the cheat code agent upgrade, and it not giving her any superpowers where it gave everyone else superpowers, usually in the form of violent wish fulfillment, it gave her the secret wish fulfillment of not feeling the grief of Morpheus's loss, which is why she discontinued revenge against Merovingian, which is why she is nonplussed by Sim Morpheus showing up in Matrix Online. Yada,
Well,
yada, yada. 60 years later, 50 something years later, as head of IO, she has subconsciously, that has taken such great effect that she has this ridiculous story that Morpheus was president and completely believed in peace, which she also completely believed in, but she also and then she contradicts herself, I think, a bunch about what happened with the war. And that's, again, making a very long story short, she's stuck on a treadmill. People care about feelings, not facts, and that's why she says what she says, and that the reason she says what she says is from Matrix Online, which is why she seemingly denies Matrix Online having happened via President Morpheus. I think that's the summary of what I was getting at with that.
yeah, that's the quick rundown. That's like the cliff notes. What I do want to say is another reason why she didn't pursue revenge with the Merv is because the Merv helped her. Merv helped her get out of that situation, right?
He did help her, but that she never ever went back into revenge mode. That she was more committed to peace.
Well, no, I do agree that your biggest nugget here with that whole summary is the cheat codes and how Niobe reacted differently than everybody else.
Yeah, and yes, it did. So it did help her survive the bullet wound, but we already had that with emergency jackout. Yeah, I know it wasn't quite working there in that construct, but it seems weird to me that everyone else got incredible, unstoppable power, and hers was just shrugging off a single bullet wound. I feel like that negates what the cheat codes were, and
Yeah,
that
she didn't even shrug it off. She
yes,
was down for the count.
yes, she survived it.
She was downright.
She
She survived, but she healed from a fatal wound. But the flip side, what I believe Starshwar brought to the table last week is that she also healed from her previous mental wounds
Yes,
in that same stroke.
yes, and that's why her outlook changed completely from we're taking down Merovingian, gonna ally with the general, I don't care, we're gonna do it, and then it's like, nah, I'm good. I'm good. Oh, kid, you found Morpheus? Better be careful. That's a truce violation. Don't set off that golden code. She changed, and she changed into the character we see in Matrix 4. And I think that's it's a combination of what she experienced, but also the fact that she consumed actual superpowers seems to connect to that, tying into the whole love as a superpower theme throughout the trilogy, and especially in 4.
Oh yeah, and I love the whole the cheat code reference with this, and you talk about the love being the superpower. I hope that we provide some cheat codes for people here at Matrix University. I know I got those yellow pill affirmations up. I'll come back around to that. You continue for now.
As for chat, Kayvon, am I pronouncing that right? Morpheus was killed by an exile in Matrix Online called the Assassin, who worked on behalf of the Merovingian at first before going super renegade. A second Morpheus, a Morpheus program, was created in Matrix Online by the same program, the general that wanted to help out Niobe, or at least offered help to Niobe. There was also a third fake Morpheus that the machines made, but it was short-lived and isn't overly relevant, though I did talk about some similarities to Thomas Anderson's fake Morpheus in the new movie. But that does tie into us saying there's so much Matrix Online DNA in this movie where we've got program Morpheuses running around and all that. There's yes, Sim Morpheus that
Right. You're talking about Matrix Online Sim Morpheus, not Matrix
I,
Resurrections.
I'm not saying the Resurrections
Morpheus.
character is the same character from Matrix Online. I'm just saying
Right. I just wanted to separate that
Thank
for because I keep forgetting. I'm trying to remember more and more that there are people who are
Yeah.
listening to this live stream for the first
Right.
time and didn't hear
Right.
part 1 or whatever.
Yeah.
So.
One last thing about that. We were talking about Matrix Online type things in the new movie.
Yeah.
When Sim Morpheus jacks out into particle body, he's a swarm of particles, and the assassin that killed Morpheus in the Matrix took the form of a humanoid swarm of flies. These are two things directly connected to Morpheus. That can't possibly be a coincidence. It can't be.
That was great.
They do share DNA, Uncle Sean. Matrix Online is the father, or the mother, maybe. I don't know, but it counts.
Yeah, no, I mean it. At this point, it's like the outline.
Like the only thing that doesn't fit is Niobe talking about President Morpheus, and I can justify it. The other thing that seemingly doesn't fit, the two things were Oracle and the war stuff. I'll get to the war stuff in earnest. That's my main point tonight. But for thank you, Sean. Metalogic. Oh yeah, and there's I got this at the end last time. Atomic Oasis. IO seems to be a fusion of everyone's ideology. There's cipherism in trying to improve quality of living, and also the fascination with color blue comes from the Sleepwalkers, maybe. EPN absolutely through the Neologists, Old Zion through the way Niobe kind of sort of runs things, and machinism through hanging out with actual machines, fist-bumping robots, hanging out with manta rays.
Well, no, that's a great comment, though. I mean, I think it's fair to say that like the kid was like the legit first neologist, right? Like he was the first all-out fanboy, like to make it a group or make it a community thing, and not just I believe in the one, but like we're together with this thing. Like let's do this as a group, as many of us
picks up his cause,
equaling one. Yeah,
what they believed to be his cause. Anyway.
No, they definitely represented, that kind of like religious zealot, sect.
Oh, well, here's the thing. Again, we're coming out of that from the machinist angle. They did do some good stuff. They saved
I'm not saying they were all bad. I'm definitely not saying they were bad. I'm just saying, like, in terms of subtext. You know what I mean? Like the Cypherites weren't like, dogmatic in their practice. You know what I mean? Like the EPN like literally met in church, dude.
They did. We all Cypherites where they put on a magic show.
right. Where's Neil Patrick Harris? So, yeah.
It's like one side is religion, the other side, look at this cool trick. But yeah, I already talked about that years ago with the metaphor of magic. But let me get back to my Matrix 4 stuff. Come on, brain, cooperate. Resurrected, I don't think so, at least not in the sense of I believe Morpheus did die as depicted in Matrix Online, and that Niobe rationalized that years later. But lay come back to that later. Oracle, what I was getting at, they said in Matrix 4 that Niobe says and I believe Bugs also says that the last contact they had with Oracle was warning us, whoever us
Yes.
was at that point, which the movie
Yes.
deals with, about a new power rising
Yes.
in the Matrix.
Yes.
And in Matrix Online, last thing Oracle did was give a chunk of encrypted data to both EPN and the Cypherites. Then she got killed by the oligarch Halborn. And the oligarchs were humans who were in android bodies who wanted to become human again, and they needed Trinity to do that. And they wanted Trinity, who at that point they only knew as the biological interface program. They wanted her from the Oracle. Oracle refused. Oracle got killed. And then later on, a woman speaking like the Oracle appeared to Michael Popper, the kid, and reminded him of the importance of the data she had given, that the Oracle had given him. So that, I think, we never found out in game what the data was. I believe the data was the warning about the new power, which may or may not be the oligarchs, but at least is analyst. I don't think they're mutually exclusive. Which is my point. I believe IO is founded on the impossible team up of Cypherites and EPN, of the most ideologically opposed sides joining together. And that's why IO is this living, breathing contradiction. And that's sort of the Oracle's legacy, that everyone's kind of, the only way forward is together, as she said, together in a real big way when it comes, if that's true. If EPN and Cypherite can agree on something, who knows what's possible? Because for those who didn't play the game, Cypherites, it's in the name. They felt Cypher was right. Awakening was bad. They'd kill anyone who woke anyone up, and they would try and make sure no one took the red pill. Whereas the E Pluribus Neo, led by the kid, who Neo saved / didn't save in Kid's story, he wanted to spread Neo's will, at least what he believed to be Neo's will, and awaken as many people, give as many people the choice, I should say, to awaken as possible, and unearth all the secrets the machines didn't want people knowing about. So if they all could get along, maybe that is why Niobe sort of contradicts herself, because I think IO is maybe founded on contradictory ideas coming together.
Well, and it's funny. I'm glad you talked about how things ended for real with the Oracle there, because like, my apologies to anybody who listened to me in an earlier stream, and I was talking about the, I guess if you want to call it, the alternate ending,
The unreleased chapters,
right? The rare bit endings, and that's why I always recommend the original Matrix 4 podcast that we all participated in together on Vesuvius podcast channel, because I feel like that's like the most accurate conversation about all this stuff. I didn't fumble it there. Starshwar was there to keep us on track and
I'm sure I
accurate.
made some mistakes.
But
got very in depth. We got very, very in depth.
But accurately in depth is the point that I'm trying to drive home, because like what Starshwar was just talking about with the Oracle, this is why I remember Rarebit's version so much, because in Rarebit's ending, she does combine those two sides, EPN and Cypherites. So I'm like, oh, that's cool, that works. So I remember it that way, but that's not how the game actually ended.
It's things that might have happened, but we don't know for sure.
Right.
It's like deleted scenes of a movie, really. Like, they might be canon, maybe, but you can't say with certainty.
Real quick, to Atomic Oasis Productions, he says, I definitely felt that the new power was a reference to the oligarchs, and specifically I felt that the suits was the reference to the oligarchs.
I'm gonna be getting into that real soon.
All right, so let's go ahead. Let's move forward.
Another point of a seeming point of discontinuity between the new movie and Matrix Online is Niobe's description of the war. But I think they combine perfectly, and I think they complement each other even better than my cheat code tangent theory there. Okay, so I'm going from the transcript here. When asked about what happened to Old Zion, Niobe says, the troubles started in the machine cities. Power plants were unable to produce enough energy. Nothing can breed violence like scarcity. For the first time, we saw machines at war with one another. We got word from the Oracle of a new power rising. That was the last we heard from her. Okay. That is Niobe's summary of events that took place during the 60-year gap between movies. We saw about 4 years of that in Matrix Online, and I do believe they are not incompatible. In fact, I think they make more sense when put together.
Okay.
Okay, hear me out. The first time we as players saw machine-on-machine violence in the real was when the exile program, the General, who was once a Sentinel commander who led the assault on Zion in Revolutions, he was exiled because he wasn't on board with peace, with the truce. So after trying to stir up conflict and it didn't quite work, he eventually set up this big base and had a conflict with the machines. But here's the important part. Here's where I'm getting at. In the game, we were led to believe that the General's purpose, his objective, was because he was the manifestation of war, that he was built for war and was denied purpose. He wanted war back so that he could have purpose. Based on what we know in the new movie, I think it goes way deeper than that. Okay. Are you ready for this?
All right, let's go.
Okay. One of the point where General, he was shady from the get-go, but the point where everyone turned on General for good was when he had his men ambush Seraph and Sati, sending Seraph down into the aqueduct where he was underwater for, I think, a couple months. Regardless, he kidnapped Sati. Not a good move. But here's the thing. Remember, the whole reason Sati was sent to the Matrix for safekeeping by Ramachandra was because Sati did not have a purpose. Every program had to have a purpose, otherwise they were subject to deletion, right?
Right. She had no real world hardware because she was made by machines.
But I'd say she was not built to be anything other than their daughter.
Right.
Okay. When he kidnapped Sati, the sky broke. And in a very short amount of time, I want to say 2 months, it went from being a perpetual kind of orange sunset-y color to being blood red. The Matrix broke without Sati. But Sati has no purpose. And the General, he had these propaganda leaflets being dropped from his helicopters all the time. They used to say, "Do not trust the Frenchman." It got changed to, "The system is a lie." So think from his perspective. We never really heard his side of it, I don't think, but by removing this one program that isn't even supposed to be there, whole Matrix breaks. The point, I think, General was making, not to us, not to the humans, not to the players, but to the machines, was, look how bad shape we are. Look how dangerous we are into having a system crash. This one kid is the whole duct tape keeping this together. This is bad. We have to go back to the old way. And to further tie that in, after General was defeated, he wound up being forced to serve Merovingian. And in his service to Merovingian, he investigated the blue pill population, the copper top. He took his count, and he found the population to be not billions, as Smith says, but hundreds of millions. And that leads back to Niobe's comment on scarcity.
Right. But also, though, if we're going there, because I had this thought when Bugs says one of the machine cities in Resurrection.
I love that line so much, by the way. That is such good, eloquent, efficient world building.
So subtle. So they were real slick about it, but don't think I missed it. The first time she said it, I was like,
"Oh, that popped my eyeballs out of my skull."
Yeah, it was like, right.
Why is that plural? There was only one.
Oh,
they always said the machine city. No one ever got close. Where was this other one we didn't know about?
Yeah, there's more than one. So that 220 million might have just been the one we thought we were stuck with, and now we know that there's more than just one.
Perhaps, but regardless, that's still an order of magnitude different. Here's what I think I'm getting at. I think that the General's plan was to expose to the machines that they were so severely lacking in humans, in copper tops, that the machines were losing. We always sort of picture them as being in charge and the authority figures, but I think they were losing. They were not having enough energy to go around, and that was causing problems in areas that we, the players, would never be privy to. Let me go a little further with that. Not long after that, in fact, I think the next storyline, next storyline was Seraph revealing the Cypherite overrides. But after that, we had the war arc, where it is discovered that mankind, that Zion has built a second city, New Zion, that is way more heavily fortified than the old one. And then the architect immediately calls off the truce. At the time, this seemed like a huge overreaction, and that he was just looking for an excuse to go back on his word, which doesn't really line up with what he says at the end of Revolutions, right?
Right.
Yep. Agreed.
Okay, but now we have more context to that. If they were on the verge of a system crash and were having such scarcity of human resources, I think at this point, the analyst faction, which may or may not be the oligarchs, I think they're one and the same, analyst faction was pressuring, with it. We don't know how machine politics work, but was gaining power and pressuring for a way to get that human resource situation resolved, or there's going to be problems. So when Architect calls off the truce, it's not him being a villain. I think it's an act of him following his function of doing the math as he does to find just whatever counts as a truce violation so that they can then rectify the situation. Because what he says in that cutscene, is Zion has broken the truce. No further awakenings are to be allowed. And that, besides being an amazing moment that changed the game forever and the universe of the Matrix, no further awakenings. In previously, when the cycle was over, they'd go back and Zion would be repopulated and they start freeing minds again. But now he's against any awakenings, which ties into the scarcity idea. And I have something here from personal experience. One of the screenshots I sent you tonight, Laz, let me just find the exact one I'm talking about. Oh, I found it. Hang on. Let me just make sure it's still here. Okay. Let me get this directory for you, Laz.
Okay.
Get this file name here. Now, this was a fun event. This was the first machine, when there were for those who didn't play the game, there were human red pills who worked for the machines, Lazarus and I among them. We would meet with agents named Gray and Pache who would fill us in on things. This meeting was right after the truce ended, and we were all confused, and many of us were upset, some very vocally so, about the seeming sketchy nature of this new conflict. And while discussing Zion and the whole cycle, Agent Gray says, in the past, the city was repopulated following a reset of the simulation. A vital factor contributing to such reset no longer exists. Therefore, the old system of reestablishing the city of Zion is no longer valid and may not be necessary. Isn't that interesting? What I take that to mean is, now that we have this new movie and all this info, right now the new paradigm that the machines were trying to set out is stop all awakenings, wait until the human population is stabilized within the Matrix, that we can have a stable power supply, and then we can reevaluate. Because they weren't interested in perpetuating the cycle at this point. They're just trying to get their power back. Power as in electrical power. Am I making sense here?
Oh yeah, very good sense.
Good, because I don't know most of the time. So going back to that, in a way that means General was correct. Not saying he was ethically correct. I mean, his analysis was correct. The machines were at a breaking point. And, the big deal about New Zion, the reason they said it was a truce violation was it was so fortified it would be very difficult to destroy with sentinels, unlike the old city. But that let Zion be able to destroy the Matrix, which a lot of us were kind of scratching our heads like, it does, but it does because Kryptos, the Cypherite leader, before he was overwritten by the machines, was an ultra-radical beyond Morpheus who wanted to detonate nukes inside the Matrix, killing everyone and destroying the machine's power source. So it goes into like Cold War SDI territory, where now the machines felt that Zion could wipe them out if they felt like it, and they didn't have a recourse, and that's why they had to act. So you combine that with the resource factor, and I remind you, this storyline came out in 2007, probably written in 2006. You got a war, sketchy pretenses, resources at stake, maybe. I'm seeing some real world influences into that story.
They are like, always putting subtext inside of Matrix stories.
Well, yes, of course they are. That's part of what makes it so great. It's one of many factors. But yeah, I'm just saying, well, again, they named Cypher Mr. Reagan. That's not a coincidence. A known psychologist is named Dr. Obama. That can't possibly be a coincidence. Subtext isn't always subtle.
That's
and
fair.
So my point is, faced with this crisis, this energy crisis, that's the war that Niobe's talking about. I believe that, so combined with General's machine-on-machine war, followed very shortly thereafter by Architect calling off the truce, with New Zion being the sticking point, that I think adds up to me that energy crisis war, as described by Niobe in the fourth movie, is the same as what we saw in those chapters in Matrix Online. It just perpetuated over half a century.
Right. And the meat and potatoes, I think, for anybody who didn't play is that last part that you said there, is that the conflict that Niobe described is the same conflict that we experience in the Matrix Online, that this is the beginnings of the power struggle we were witnessing, basically.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and from Uncle Sean, I'm sorry, I forgot your other handle already. Agent Pache, she was Italian. That is the correct pronunciation. It's not Pace. I know that may hurt your memories, but that's how it is.
No, I think he's having a laugh.
Tone's hard to read sometimes.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that.
Believe me, I was a little upset when I found out. I've been reading it wrong in my head the whole time.
Yeah, I don't speak Italian, so it's Pace to me.
Thank you, Metalogic. All right. So, yeah, my point is, I think the culmination of all that with Oracle, and then again, right after the war arc came the beloved storyline, The Oligarchs. Universally praised, everyone's favorite. All right, enough sarcasm.
Well, no, this is Metalogic's wheelhouse right here. Is this place that you're going? the no fly zone. The no fly zone.
No, flies. We're done talking about it, Assassin.
No, I said no fly zone.
All right. Before I continue, Renato, when was IO built? Before or after the Machine War? If we take my interpretation of Matrix Online being canon, it would be after the truce ended, because thanks to Laz and Vesuvius's analysis of what New Zion is, the second city, that does not match what we see geographically IO being. So IO would be at least a third human settlement that we know of.
Yeah, I'm running with Zion 3.0.
Agreed.
Let's not give numbers here, because then you get into the Zions from previous cycles.
Nah, that's all Zion to me.
Okay, that's whatever.
All, like, you know what I mean? That's 600 years of version 1. This is what I'm saying.
Okay. You consider the depopulation and repopulation to still be the same thing, even if it may have been relocated.
Right, because my thing is, analyst is bragging about his productivity.
Yeah.
But the architect had 600 years of a soft reset being the workaround. I'll take 600 years over 60.
And at less than 60, because we are never given an exact number as for when things happen, which is probably for the best.
Especially if you're saying that what we experienced in the Matrix Online is part of the timeline that Niobe's talking about, because that's the span of 4 years right there.
Right. Anyway, so we have Energy Crisis War happening. Then we have the oligarch faction showing up, causing trouble, killing Oracle, which seems to be the start of the purge, which was described by Bugs and Niobe and Sati. So if that's the start of that, I think that means that whether or not the oligarchs are still in control, whether they are not the authorities / the suits, it doesn't matter, because Analyst faction wins. Analyst faction proves, look at this, architect. Your plan failed. You declared war. Things got even worse. Power loss bad. You're done. We have a new plan. New plan is to build the anomalium and all that. And stuff happens that we don't know about exactly. But going further with that, I'm Io is absolutely a better name than New Zion. I always felt New Zion was an emergency placeholder because they weren't ready to start using the city until it was discovered.
But real quick, I could definitely see the oligarchs, playing both sides against the middle, or rather, in this case, just saying, "Oh, we'll let the machines work this out amongst themselves," and then side with the winner of that conflict.
Oh, and we know they did because the oligarchs then they jacked in. They were wireframe men,
right?
But they wanted Trinity, and well, since Trinity is jacked back in as Tiffany, I think that means they won.
Right.
But that's almost the biggest bummer, that the in the last of many common enemies, they're the ones we never beat because the game got shut down.
Mm.
So Anomalium and the new Matrix, the 2020 whatever or 2019 Matrix replacing the 99 Matrix. We were in disagreement about that last time. I'm gonna drop that for now. So I had a note here. I had a note. So with all that put together, these things seem to complement each other. But there was one point in Matrix Online that seems to not gel with the movie, and I can fix that. And that is the concept of reinsertion.
Yeah, where are you going with this? Because I think we already cleared this up in like a very long live stream many moons ago.
Well, go ahead. I have new information. Well, we all have new information because we have the new movie. All right. In Matrix Online, at one point, the Cypherite leader Kryptos, who at that point was depressed and broken, approaches Agent Grey, asks to be reinserted. Agent Grey says there is no such procedure. Cypherite's very unhappy. They can't go back, even though they definitely thought they could. And there were missions in the game that talked about reinsertion before that, but they were...
That was my favorite part of the game.
Well, Cypherites, they loved being lied to, and they got an even bigger lie. It's poetic justice. But here's the thing. Reinsertion being retconned and then also being real, I think there's more to it. One thing. In one of the comics, I can't even begin to remember the title, but
Saviors.
Is that the one? Is that the guy who betrays who assassinates the Zion officer?
That is the one, and I haven't done a video on that because I'm pretty sure that came out in the like after the series 1 and 2 were printed, so it's only printed in the 20th anniversary edition.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Well,
it was online, it was on the website, but
here's the deal with that. So this is about a character who, a human red pill who's really upset, thinks Zion's bad, helps kill an officer who's big into destroying the Matrix in exchange for reinsertion. But his reinsertion is not what Kryptos wanted, and it's not what Cypher wanted, because he retained his memories. He's still talking to an agent about it like a parole officer. So at that point, the machines, they can put a person back in the pods, but they couldn't completely negate their memories.
Right, it wasn't a memory wipe. Right.
Such a big thing in the new movie is Neo and Trinity had their memories suppressed, but they're not entirely gone. They have flashes of the past. They keep being... Well, Neo keeps getting prescribed the blue pill to keep him pacified. My point is, it seems to me that the good reinsertion, that comes from Analyst's faction, and maybe Architect's side didn't have access to that, and that's part of how things got the way they were. Because you'd think if power loss were a problem, they'd be plugging people back in left and right, anyone who wanted back in. Maybe they couldn't. Or Architect, being so math-oriented, saw every cipher I plug back in as like a zero-sum game. Like, you're back in, but you could be preventing X many more extractions. You're more useful to us awake for now. So I think when Analyst's faction won, I think they just plugged all the Cypherites right back in that wanted in. But my point is that that's how I think you can reconcile reinsertion not being real versus being real and not. You understand what I'm saying? Am I mumbling?
Yeah, there's a couple problems with reinsertion. If you put them back in, they're still going to unconsciously reject the matrix.
Not
Also,
not
well,
necessarily. Not if they were duped. Not if they got woken up by a code bomb.
that's true. But Cipher particularly, I don't. We assume that he chose the red pill. Well, I think he infers that he took the red pill.
He says that Morpheus tricked him. He feels that he was misled through the Alice in Wonderland spiel, which again, that was a thing in Matrix Online. There was like recruitment stuff that was going too far and telling more people than they need to, and the machines had to shut that down. The general was behind that, by the way. So there's a thing where there are people who took the red pill who may have taken the pill, but that still wasn't their fair choice. They were given choices by very biased parties.
And my other thought about that was, at the time, when Agent Gray told him there was no such process, it could have been that there was no such process just at the time, because as we know, Cypher's reinsertion, they agreed to it, but they didn't actually go through the steps to do it.
All right, we don't know for sure they were even going to honor that agreement. But
to that point, the analyst said that it took years to revive Neo and Trinity completely.
Yes, and we don't know exactly how many years that was. But moreover, because of that,
I'm going to guess 4.
Yeah, and with Sarah Edmonton being sort of and the BIP Trinity returning as the interface program, I feel like that was sort of a work in progress towards version 1 of that. That's the beta. But with that comic, it seems to be set during truce times, so I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, no, I definitely that was a point I was going to bring. That's what I was trying to say about it being online, but not in the original print. 2 printed versions. I do believe that there's a line in there somewhere. His supervisor, the one that he, spoiler alert, sets up, whatever. He says something that's very truce specific,
like it's not going to last forever or something to that effect.
Right. Yeah. He's definitely talking about the era that Matrix Online takes place in. For sure,
it's definitely
without question.
Era.
Yeah,
it's where we talk about this era. What was it, 2.5 years?
And here's the funny part. That's what I'm saying. It might have been one of those things where, because we were debating the whole no reinsertion thing, that's why they made that reference. Who knows?
Perhaps. So I think when you take all these pieces, that we know reinsertion can happen, but we understand now that there were at least 2 factions within the machine civilization that were opposed to each other and how to deal with humanity and how to deal with the Matrix. That would explain any discontinuities of technology permission for that. I think again, it really just boils down to Niobe's version of events for the energy crisis war. I think does not contradict anything in Matrix Online. That Oracle's warning does not contradict anything if you take it to be what she gave EPN and the Cypherites. And the only discontinuity really being just what was up with Morpheus's political life. And again,
like I said, I think that's already in the text, in the transcript that you read. I mean, she said that they gave it to him immediately after the siege. If the siege is revolutions, they gave him that title before the Matrix Online even started.
And that could be, I hadn't considered that. It could be that his career in politics was ultra brief. Could be it was just from end of revolutions to whenever chapter 1 is. It has to be some sort of, and there had to be at least a couple weeks of getting stuff working again. They had to get a hovercraft out there somehow, and they were fresh out.
Real quick, shout out to Franz. I see you in the building. I saw a comment here. If I can find it, it says how heavy the purge was. The suit's green lighted the analyst to wreak havoc and bring things back to what it was prior to Neo's final battle with Agent Smith. How did Io keep hidden for so long? So what I was going to say there was, we don't know specifically, I guess, how heavy the purge was, but we do know that Sati was saved by Kujaku, who is the flying machine that we see cloaked, and they don't tell us how the Merv or the Merovingian and his exiles were able to survive. My theory would be that they were just kicking it in club hell like they always do. But you go ahead.
Purge wise, we know most of Merovingian's organization was wiped out. We know Sati would have been purged if not for Kotaku's intervention. Oracle gone, Architect probably gone, but maybe there are levels of survival he was prepared to accept. I don't know. We don't know too much about that, but what we also know, come on, my brain is being argumentative. Someone say something.
Well, I have a comment here. Scorp Trio says in the "It would be nice to think" category, maybe Shepard's name, which is Max Reimel's character, was gleaned from MxO as it was used in the EPN event Algorithm Black, and he says he's got links and receipts to prove it.
Receipts. That Algorithm Black is familiar to me, but I remember the name and nothing else. But could
It was
be
Recursion.
Oh,
It was the first player event team that used like live action cutscenes on YouTube to like facilitate story. Oh, it was heavy.
I vaguely remember that. That was player run though.
Yes, it was player run, but it was
cool, though.
really.
I'm not
people thought it was live.
Draw a distinction between that and what was pumped out by Rarebit and Lesig.
Well, it was run by a bunch of Lesig members.
Oh,
they did it on their own.
That you see, I came into the program so late. I don't think I was privy to any of that.
It was good stuff.
Oh, I'm not discounting any of it. You know, so much of Matrix Online, even when it existed, was you had to be there.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of that. That's why we're here right now, because
everything about it was like designed to be impermanent, even at the time. All the Sentinel issues, all the and to say nothing of all the events that weren't documented, like especially from the Monolith era.
A lot of them are documented.
Yeah, but not as well as the ones once Rarebit started posting summaries of every single one.
That's true, but there's still some stuff out there.
I know, but for everyone that wasn't chat logged or screenshotted, that's a piece of history that we're not going to see again. But back on point. So again, I feel like all the stuff that that seemingly discounts Matrix Online all tie together with the themes of War and Peace, truth and deception, self-deception, being stuck in a treadmill, and the power of love. I feel that's all the themes of what Matrix 4 is about, and memory, of course, being a big one, Hovercraft Mnemosyne. I think it all fits to me.
No, I think that you made it fit in these last two conversations.
I want it to fit because Matrix Online is like one of my favorite, pretty much my favorite chapter of my life. So I'm
but when I say made it fit, I'm not talking about doing mental gymnastics and coming up with MIM theories to make it work. I'm saying you used what's actually there, which is what is the point of doing all this.
Right. Because again, I'm not just saying I'm just doing this because I didn't like what the movie had to say maybe about video games and all that. I'm doing this because I think that the two works enrich each other, and through using stuff from Unlimit and the Oligarch Saga, the probably two most disliked storylines of Matrix Online, that they can make each other better. I think that says something. And unless we get a longer cut or a 5 or whatever that contradicts it further, from where I'm sitting, Matrix Online still counts.
So let's cycle back, because I missed, what is this super big diss on video games?
Oh, I mean, that's just one potential interpretation. I'm not saying
no, it's one that I've seen though. Yeah.
There's the part where Neo's just bummed out that they turned my life into a video game, and Bugs is like, yes, video games are banal and could not possibly.
Trivial was the word
Yeah.
I think she used. Yeah.
Yeah, and that, like, come on, Lana, you made the best experiment in interactive storytelling of all time. Don't say this, but that's assuming that Bugs's viewpoint is that of Lana, and that's not fair. To assume that she's just a mouthpiece.
Well, that's
I-
not going to stop an internet headline or blog. You know what
I,
I'm
I'll
saying?
be honest.
Somebody's going to run with that baton. Yeah.
I took it a little personally on the first watch. On rewatches, I softened on that, and it's I don't think it's anti-video game. I think it's more just saying that it's sort of meta commentary on her own work. Replace video game with movie or media franchise, in that, yeah, it's a big blockbuster action series, but a lot of people miss that there's more to it than just kicking.
Right, and that's my thing. I think the bigger message, or at least my interpretation of it, is not, oh, video games are terrible. It's more that, there are more important things than video games and movies, like love.
Absolutely. And I, again, while I'm not too hot on the movie, Matrix Resurrections is a beautiful love story that's like about 40 minutes of the movie, and it's great. It's the other 2 hours I'm not too keen on.
Well, but that's my whole thing, though. I mean, you're not. Did you have a problem with the script? Was it the writing?
There's a lot I could do. I don't want to waste time deconstructing, because I'm just one guy. In my opinion, I'm
Well,
sure
yeah, everybody's got their own opinion, right?
to make a very long story short, I think they spend way too much time on action scenes that weren't particularly good, and I felt that the dialogue, I didn't like the way it sounded. It had sort of a Marvel-like quippiness to it that didn't work for me. And I'm not saying universally, but a lot of it. And gosh, what there was one again. I don't want to go on every little minutia of things I didn't care for. And again, a part of it is I felt that, left on its own, I felt that the state of the universe was left so unclear that it took a lot of stakes out, and that there's some things I feel had set up with no payoff, and vice versa. And I could go on and on. I feel like if we ever do get to see that longer cut, I think a lot of my issues would be retroactively corrected. Again, I don't hate it. I do not hate it. I just think altogether it doesn't really come together as a cohesive movie to me. But again, there are things that have merit, there are things that have beauty, and I do appreciate those qualities.
Yeah, no, I didn't mean to sidetrack you, though.
No, it's fine. It's fine. But when I think so much of the movie is, I think she had too many ideas and not enough time to explore them in, was part of it. We get this notion that program Morpheus is part Smith, and none of that really comes up, and he stops really having any relevance as Morpheus after the dojo scene. And they never really delve into the fact that Neo made a virtual person, and their relationship as creator and program, it doesn't go anywhere. And that's just one example of a lot. There's a lot in there. I just feel it's too much and not enough fleshing out of pretty much anything.
Like for me with the Morpheus thing, because we had the whole Morpheus sim general situation, like I felt like the modal Morpheus, or Agent Morpheus that Neo created, that was the whole thing.
You mean to say that because we already had that in Matrix Online, it wasn't worth going over again?
No, I mean, like, they finished, or rather, Lana Wachowski's explanation of he's Smith and Morpheus was the course correction for where the general went wrong. What they say, the modal was
by making it have to choose between two extremes of whether to be Smith as he's told or choosing to be Morpheus. Is that what you're getting at?
Right. Yeah, that's part of it. The other part of it is existing in this modal where it's this loop to evolve the program. So it's not just dumping the first version of Sim Morpheus into the Matrix Online, which is what the general did, and that's why it crashed, because it was just a beta running around. You know what I'm saying? Whereas with the modal Morpheus, now you've kind of, you're at the end of beta instead of the beginning. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get it. We're seeing the final loop through.
Like, basically, Neo did it way better than the general.
Yeah, by accident, no less.
Right, because he's that guy, dude. It's Neo we're
Yeah.
talking
Oh, I'm not dismissing Neo's talents. No, if anything, that's like, again, General was sort of my arch nemesis back in Matrix Online. So they, hey, look at this. This guy did better than you did by accident. Your big evil master plan that you spent how much time on, and it makes actually the machines look worse though, because our Morpheus sucked. Morpheus 3 kept getting dialogue wrong, and it was hilarious. Like when we were trying to do modal stuff, we were trying to recreate Morpheus. We made him reenact scenes from his life when he's at the White Halls with Smith. Instead of, would that include a bullet from this guy's like, would that include this red pill? And he pulls out the gun.
What?
Yeah.
exactly.
Oh, I got a whole folder that I sent to Les. Let me find that, because
Oh, you have this screenshotted in dialogue.
yes. Okay. I can give you the folder and that exact one, because that's one of my favorite Matrix Online events, and that wound up being a pretty important part of the movie. That was super cool. Again, I'm not throwing the whole movie out. I just think
Well,
there's
that's
a
what I
lot.
think is funny, like about like the three of us here, because it's kind of like I feel like it's like the whole spectrum.
Well, not quite,
Well,
because I
okay,
know
okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't
people
think
who
you're
completely hate the movie.
right. I don't think there's really time for that. Like, we don't need that.
I I think their opinions are valid, but I'd rather, again, when I hear you and Alias Trinity gushing about it, I just feel such envy. I want to feel that for this movie. I do, and again,
Well,
we get this.
that's why I asked you about the script. Like, to me, if you look at the performances, if you look at the script, just as a script piece, and just start there, I'm like, well, okay. I've read some really bad scripts and I've seen some really bad acting performances, and this is not that.
Well, I'm
Um,
not saying this is again, I said last time, it's not a zero. It's not it has merit. It's just not all the ingredients were there, and some of the pieces were not assembled properly. But the parts that were are really good. It's just like where I have some gripes with. I sent a link or a directory to you in Discord, Laz, for that screenshot. I feel that whereas like my gripes with Revolutions, I can just point to one big chunk of the movie I'm not too hot about. Whereas with Resurrections, it's more frequent things I didn't care for throughout. Again, I'm not saying any of the actors were necessarily bad. I'm not saying any of the dialogue was terrible. I just, something went wrong on a few levels of this, and that's okay. I don't need. All right, here we go. Here's us trying to recreate the White Halls for the machine Morpheus sim, which would be the third Morpheus if you count the human Morpheus as Morpheus 1.
so where's the line here? What are we looking at here in the dialogue
All
box?
right. Where human at this point, where the human players are disguising as movie characters to try and get Morpheus to remember himself better. Here, Kaon, I don't know how to pronounce that, is playing Smith. Still using all the muscles except the, blah blah blah. I want exactly what you want. I want everything. Morpheus, would that include this red pill? That whole folder's filled with stuff like that. So yeah, machine attempts at recreating Morpheus. Granted, we had less time than General. Didn't work out great. Also, at one point, I think he refers to Switch and APOC as being one person. Like, that might just be a typo, but there's no space between their names, and that's funny to me. That would be screenshot 5. It might just be a typo, but it's funny.
Same folder, right?
Oh yeah, all under M morph. Just switch APOC.
What is it?
Okay, again, that's probably nothing, but that's just, screenshot 6. The cubicle across from you is empty. Give me your phone. Or if he's just doing, just want the phone. But I I'm trying to think if there's anything I left untouched here. I think that was everything. I'm checking my notes. So we got Oracle's final warning, we got Energy Crisis War, and we got Morpheus's potential political role that may or may not have actually happened. I think it didn't, and Niobe, is just reimagining Morpheus in the way she would have rather him lived. But you could have it too. You could have it be that it's just odd that she would say that to Neo as to what happened to him, and then not go into what happened otherwise. I think that ties into more my interpretation of her subconsciously via cheat codes rewriting history.
Well, that was the one picture that I forgot to pull up. I'm looking for it here now. The actual cheat code shot. You sent me that.
Oh, where Niobe drinks the cheat code and says, "I don't feel anything."
I think we put that up in the last live. This was the one. Oh, did Vesuvius send me this? Is it on the screen? Who sent me this?
Yeah, I sent that one over.
Okay.
That's Niobe reaching for the cheat codes.
Yeah, she was the first to get them. She wanted them because they'd give her the power to avenge Morpheus. She drinks one, doesn't feel anything, gets shot. Some couple months later, she's out of there and she's done with Vendetta and has no obvious superpowers, unlike literally every other human being that consumed a cheat code. And they all took gunfire too. So again, I think there's more to it than just undoing bullet wound to the torso. I just love the fact that I hated the Unlimited story at the time, but now in retrospect, it might be what saves Matrix Online from discontinuity. So you know what, Anom? You're the hero we didn't know we needed.
I wish Chadwick would talk with us about it in depth.
Oh, that if that ever happens, please let me know. I want in on that. I met the architect twice in game, and that's kind of version 3 of that for me.
Well, he follows you, right, Vesuvius?
Chadwick, he does, and I haven't interacted with him in a while on Twitter, but for a while he was very interactive. I have asked him if he would do a podcast, but he hasn't answered. So I just take it as a no.
Yeah, the movie's out now. Maybe follow up, mapes. But yeah, no, I think Starshwar did a good job of covering. I mean, that's what I'm saying. There was only 3 talking points to really even say that Niobe retconned in the first place, and I think he did a good job of going through each one individually and citing references. Because that's like I said, in the first listen, I was like, oh, why'd she say that? And then in the second listen, though, I listened again, and then when I looked at it in text,
yeah, that was the big one.
Yep.
It's like, wait a minute, she didn't actually answer his questions.
Right, she didn't say anything really.
Wouldn't that have been a great callback to the architect saying, "You still haven't answered my question"?
And that's why I love that you brought up the architect scene, because the same thing happened to me the first time I read the architect speech in text. It all came together. It just made so much more sense.
Yeah, I didn't have a huge problem with. It's funny. I think on Reloaded, Reloaded's a huge. I'm going on memories here that are 19 years old now. It's a huge amount to process the first time. I think I got the gist of Architect as fine. I misunderstood stuff Roland said. At the end of the movie, when they're talking about how bad the hovercraft battle went from the EMP, I mistook that at the time being, oh wow, so everyone in Zion's dead? That sucks. It took a rewatch for me to understand what that was about. At the time, like, oh man, they're really screwed now. So again, it's misconceptions, misunderstandings happen, and it's very possible there's something big I didn't get on my 3 viewings of Resurrections that I'll eventually change my tune on, because I do want to love it.
Well, and that's the thing. I would encourage you, to watch it again when you feel up to it. It's one of those things where, like when you were talking about Revolutions, I loved Revolutions in the first sitting. I didn't even notice the flaws that I noticed until later.
Same deal. And I still, to this day, think Revolutions is a good movie. There's just a chunk of it I'm not too crazy about.
Yeah, but that's my thing. Like, I can sit back and point out flaws and
Yeah.
still love it. Like, I feel like
Yeah.
that's, like I said, that's one of the things that I took away from my personal Matrix experience,
Mhm.
is just trying to have a non-linear approach to things. It doesn't necessarily have to be love hate.
Oh,
I
for
can,
sure.
you know,
Again, while I'll say here that I think Revolution's good movie with some flaws. Resurrection's not good movie, but with very strong redeeming qualities. That doesn't absolve one of problems nor negate the good in the other. It's just overall, that's just my takeaway. Um, I was going to say something, but my brain has it's not cooperating. Is anyone? Is there anything I've missed? Anything
no,
I
that's the thing. I think you covered the
feel?
retcon discussion. I think that was a home run.
Well, I'm not just
Oh,
saying this because I want to be right, but it'd be pretty cool because I feel like both works together are stronger. I feel that if you take comics, Animatrix, the games, maybe not Path of Neo, and the movies all together, that they complement each other. So that if we can just accept that Niobe may be incorrect about one detail, that it's better to have it that way than to throw out the huge amount of lore and interesting stories we got in Matrix Online, and I think that is what happened.
but just to summarize, what is that one detail?
Niobe talking about Morpheus being president. That's the only part that doesn't seem to fit.
Like I said, to me,
Yeah,
as long as the siege is the one we saw in Revolutions, it
that
fits
seems to
just
be what
fine.
she's talking about.
It fits just fine. Then timeline makes fine sense. It's okay.
Also, that could also be a deep cut science fiction. Well, not deep cut. Well, medium cut science fiction reference. If Morpheus was like president of Zion and just left immediately to go back doing what he used to, that happened on Doctor Who in the 80s. Like at one point, if you don't know about the show, you don't need to. Main character was elected president of his planet and immediately went back to going on his own adventures as he had for decades before. Did not care. So maybe there's precedent within the genre.
Real quick, shout out to Beverly. Hi, Beverly. We see you in the chat there. She made it. She made it to class just before we ended the session.
From the beginning, do you have any of the lost episodes? There's people who want those.
Maybe they're selling them as NFTs.
Don't give
Oh.
them ideas. Look, there's like 90 missing episodes that people haven't seen in 50 years. Don't do this. Not like
Are they
this.
on? Are they
What?
on torrents?
When I
Are
say
they
the
on
lost
torrents?
episodes, I mean the lost episodes are lost. They do not exist in archives. They might be somewhere in the world, but BBC does not know. They have the audio from everything thanks to fans who use tape recorders. Maybe that was you in a past life. I mean that in the best way.
Yeah, no, you are definitely the MxO lead archivist in the world right now.
Yeah, but
Well, I would say that I followed some very strong footsteps. But yeah, keeping it going.
and please do. Well, even if somehow, even if it turns out I'm wrong and none of it's canon, it's still one of the most interesting experiments in interactive storytelling ever attempted, and it needs to be preserved.
Listen, the hard drive ain't going anywhere, and it's I'll keep cranking stuff out.
Cool. Since I still have a little time, anyone, and may open this up chat too. Anyone have any questions, comments, disagreements with my interpretation? Because I'd love to hammer this out, refine this this interpretation of mine. I defer to V and Laz first. Yep. Am I coming through?
Oh, real quick, yeah. No, I was trying to read this
Sorry.
comment here, but I got muted. It says, "A team, hey, made it to my first live chat. Welcome to Matrix University Live." He said your videos on the Animatrix totally enhanced Matrix 4 for me. So thank you for
Yeah.
watching, and I'm very happy that we were able to help you along your Matrix Resurrection journey. That's the thing, man. It's crazy. Like when I was in the movie theater watching it that first time, because the buildup, there was a lot of, like I said, I had a lot of friends of mine, Matrix fans, who were like, "Yeah, I can't talk to you for 2 weeks. No spoilers. You're the spoiler man." And when I was watching it that first time, I was like, "Man, I'm so glad that I came in prepared."
Okay, couple things I see in chat here from Metalogic about the no reinsertion was lie to Cryptos because of his scrambled programming. While that could be an issue that would prevent Cryptos from going back, why would the agents deny reinsertion to anyone else, to everyone for that? And I'll remind you that there were references to reinsertion being a thing in missions that got taken out by Rarebit around that same time. I feel like that it's more than just Cryptos. That's like it was for everybody.
I'm
That
gonna
that
say
that
that that
machines
was.
were just not allowing anyone back in because they had more use for them as Cypherites, or legitimately were honest that sorry, we don't know how to do that yet.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that that was a machine critical mission or seduction mission for when you were like just choosing to join the machine
Yeah,
organization.
yeah, yeah.
And I
There's a guy who
I
wanted
can
to
look
go
that up.
back. They had to change a line where the operator's like, "Well, I guess they're good. Who knows what they're gonna do with this guy?" There was also at least one neighborhood contact mission about reinsertion that had to be completely rewritten. I don't know who it was though.
If they're a Richland or Westview, then I have it.
Ooh, for some reason, I want to say it's international. I don't know why.
Shit.
I could be wrong. Look, we're going off like 20-year-old memories here. I'm probably wrong. MxO's own lore, it's more about peace. Well, that's the thing. Chadwick was told by the Wachowskis that year one of the story, which wound up being the whole story, was peace and things humans do to mess it up. So yeah, it was absolutely about peace. Oracle in the first cutscene, nothing ever goes right, especially not peace.
Real quick, Marcus says, "Do you think they will bring Matrix Online to a game console like PS4 and PS5?" So my quick answer to that would be that I think if it has a online aspect from a console perspective, it'd be more like Grand Theft Auto than Matrix Online.
I don't think we will see Matrix Online in its original form officially re-released ever. It
I
barely
agree.
worked at the
I totally
time.
agree. I totally agree.
By today's standards, you'd call it an early access game. It wasn't really finished. And with the level of interactivity it had, with the impermanence of everything and the live events, I'd love nothing more than for it to be back. I don't see that happening in an official capacity ever. What could be really cool though, single player remake that retells that story. That
Oh
I think
God,
we could
what
see a
an
consoleized version.
undertaking.
Are you is
That's
that
like
you with indignation at the idea?
no, I obviously I love it. I just think it's a huge undertaking, and anytime that they kind of rehash something, they want to do their own thing, so they're going to change it, whether it's a book to
Yeah,
a movie
yeah,
or anything else.
yeah.
I mean, just look at what they did. They basically took the Race to Find the One and just made it, Neo having Morpheus in a modal, and then he frees himself.
Huh. I didn't really feel like that was the like the retread of that. Race to Find the One was trying to get the pieces of Neo back together, which may or may not have been wound up what became the Thomas Anderson we see in the movie. I don't know. Uh, I saw that more as sort of a like. Okay, I know everyone who's talked about. So, are you guys familiar with Wes Craven's New Nightmare?
A
Uh,
little.
only in name.
Oh, you need to
I've
see
seen
that
it, but I
because
was
I
like
think that's the
12.
biggest influence on this movie. But I'm gonna rush through this. Wes Craven's New Nightmare is a movie in the Nightmare on Elm Street series about people making a new Nightmare on Elm Street movie, having nightmares about Freddy. It's the whole meta thing that Neo's going through in the first act of this movie.
Right, that's what I was gonna say. It's like Generation 1 movie meta, right?
Pretty much. I don't know if you can go much earlier than that to have that sort of thing done that way. So the way I see it is, Act 1 of that movie was sort of the Wes Craven's New Nightmare redoing Matrix 1's first act, while also kind of riffing on soft reboots. But I'd love Matrix Online back. I don't know if it'll happen, but maybe we'll see this story retold somehow, some way, someday. Wouldn't count on it. Wouldn't put any money on that happening.
No, it would have to be people like us. It would have to be people like us.
I meant like in
Go ahead.
official capacity.
Yeah, I don't think it'll happen.
Unofficially, who knows what might happen. Never underestimate fans.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, Sense8 got its ending movie because of the fans. But what I was gonna say was that just in general, I think you guys kind of agreed in terms of a Matrix Online format probably not being a thing for the next generation. But we talked about the Unreal Engine demo earlier in this live. I do think that there is strong potential for there to be some type of video game coming. I think there's strong potential for some type of TV series, be it animated or live action. So I think there's hope for the future.
I want that. I want more. Maybe not in the same way we got it this time, but I'll take whatever we get. I wish I had your optimism. I don't see more happening for a while, at least. Love to be wrong, but
yeah, I think if we were going to get something soon, they would have spoke on that. I think it might be a little bit. Now, when I say that though, like I said, to them, the Unreal Engine 5 reveal might have been something. That's on Gata's resume right now, right? So, to them, that might have been enough of the leak, and the release date will be coming soon. But who knows? I mean, because from what we can tell, they shot the modeling and the 3D CGI live action stuff. When did we see those pictures from Berlin? That was like last summer, right?
Yeah, that was after they wrapped filming, but not long after.
And then we see the demo not long after that. You see what I mean? So they've got the hard stuff out of the way, I guess is the point that I'm making. They have to just go ahead and pull the trigger on the game.
I see some stuff in chat, if that's okay.
Yeah,
To comment on and go kind of out of order here. Oh, I want to wait. Sparks was not fired by Niobe Vesuvius. That's funny, but he wasn't, because I know in at least one live event, Ghost takes out his phone and starts talking to Sparks as his operator. Sparks absolutely still around, still doing his job around Matrix Online time.
Headcanon.
Well, why? Well,
say was he still flying the logos too?
I hated Sparks.
What?
I absolutely hated him. When I went back and rewatched the cutscenes, I was like, yeah, I got a chuckle out of him. So he aged much better, but I remember absolutely hating him when I was in my early 20s.
Wow.
Yeah, no, when it was new, I was like, yo, those are the corniest lines. It did age better than my memories of it. I'll put it that way.
I like to think that whatever happened to Sparks, at the very least, he was in the hovercraft while Niobe was watching the machines fighting each other in that flashback and just desperate for them to leave. I just wanted to be in full, what's his name from Aliens? Game over!
Game over, man.
Vesuvius,
that's Bill Paxton, by the way.
Yes, thank you. Vesuvius, you said you have all the Sentinels. Does that include the hidden messages? Because they aren't up on Reiko's version.
I believe I do have those, but if they're hidden, I may not be 100% on that.
When you click the little pyramid symbol.
I think so.
Okay, because that archive is incomplete, and if you can get the missing pieces, that'd be amazing. Talk to Reiko.
The archive from hold on one sec. I got to credit the person who shared it. Who's Lazarus? Who's Sophiane? on
Oh,
Discord.
that's Oranos.
Oranos, yeah. It's his archive.
Uh, Daga, let me see what I was gonna get to your messages. Uh, why would the machines need a power source, being not just the humans in a matrix, when you're addressing that rumor in Neo's powers outside the matrix, explained by it being a simulation too? Okay, we talked about this a couple years ago. The answer is there's really no answer about about uh, what where Neo's powers in the real exactly come from. Maybe it's some sort of Wi-Fi. Maybe it's not. We see him and Trinity kind of EMPing Sentinels themselves in the pods. The movie itself in Reloaded, when Neo talks to Hammond about how water recycling works and how his powers work, and they don't really know how it works, but they need it to work. I think what the Wachowskis were trying to say is don't obsess over the technicalities of how Neo's powers work. It's just what he does with them that matters.
Yeah, and if you're new here, I definitely recommend watching the Holy Trinity video on this channel. It definitely goes in depth to the point that Starshwar just made. Also, there's a bunch of people that said this is the first live that they've attended. So thank you for joining us. Thank you all for watching. And if you're new here, please definitely make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss out on any future live streams. We're definitely going to be kicking it now that the dust has settled. And we've got plenty of Matrix, both old and new, to be discussing. Matrix Online Connections, the Matrix Resurrections, and there's like plenty of like original Matrix trilogy stuff that I have in my notebook that we never talked about. So
I'd like to do that someday. I'm not going to be lucid all the time, but I'll do the best I can. I think it's a cross between Neo's talk with Councillor Hammond and especially the most important being his interactions with Sati and Ramachandra. Understanding that machines need humans, humans need machines, but also machines can love to the point of self-sacrifice, and that's absolutely what drives him at the very end of Revolutions. In Matrix Online, you could actually read the thoughts that were going through Neo's head right at the end about how he was sacrificing himself, not just for peace, but for a peace that Trinity would approve of. I'm saving them all for you, Trin. So, and
It's easily accessible.
That's out there. Wait, was that sarcastic?
Oh, no, I have them.
Great.
Posted on my Instagram.
A-Team, when you say script, do you mean for Matrix Online? Because there's so much of it that is documented, but also so much that isn't. Because there were live events that you had to be there. A lot of them got posted summaries, but not all. There were newspapers you could read in game. There's all sorts of stuff. There are archivists, and Vesuvius first and foremost among them nowadays, who are trying to preserve as much as we can, but
yeah, Vesuvius has the deepest collection, and it's not close.
I heard Othan had a lot back in the day. I don't know if he's still around. Oranos
I have all of his. That's why I kept saying like I've got all the transcripts. I don't know if they're every single live event that happened, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were.
I still think there's stuff from Monolith era that people didn't document because they just still didn't realize exactly how impermanent Matrix Online was going to be. I haven't seen a lot of oh, okay, Empty Arcade, you got an explanation for Neo's real world powers? I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, me too. And I'm getting my Sentinel archive shareable in the next few minutes. So hit me up on Discord if you want that.
I really want those missing pieces because we have some of it, but not all.
So I think Arano said that there was like one image that was missing from his archive, and it was actually an image that my girlfriend at the time made. So I took it and I plugged it in.
Oh, that's so awesome!
And it was like a pizza ad. It was like Torgo, the master approves, which is a reference.
Reference.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a reference that only I don't understand.
Okay, you have not watched enough Mystery Science Theater. Menace: The Hands of Fate is a movie that was featured on there that is considered by many to be the worst movie ever made. It's certainly down there. It features a character who's sort of supposed to be, I guess, sort of a creepy butler goat man. His name was Torgo, and in the episode they had because in Mystery Science Theater they do like sketches, and they had one where Torgo was, since the movie, become pizza delivery man.
I'll have to watch.
Listen, if you're watching any Mystery Science Theater episodes, that's a great one. But first, you need to see Future War because Agent Johnson's the star of that one.
Yeah, I haven't heard a Mystery Science Theater reference in a while.
And also another one I'd strongly recommend: Overdrawn at the Memory Bank. It's an early cyberpunk movie that was made for PBS, and there's some Matrix stuff in there. I'm not saying maybe Wachowski. I'm not saying that Wachowski's ripped it off, but it's one of the many things that might have influenced them.
So here's a comment. Techno says, given that the Matrix franchise is a hodgepodge of all religions from Hinduism to Christianity, what is the concept of soul and resurrections? Does Neo have a soul?
I don't think any of us are equipped to answer that.
I would say I would say so. I mean, if whether you choose that he's all human or hybrid, even if he's hybrid, he's still human. I mean, as humans, we have souls, right?
I feel like that's a question that's like beyond Matrix lore.
I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
to me, it's an easy yes. You know, he says he's human. Like I said, now in Holy Trinity, I break down the whole hybrid aspect of it. But even as a hybrid, you're still human. So I would still imagine that you have a soul if you believe that humans have souls. Now, if you don't believe that humans have souls, that to me goes into the kind of debate space that you guys are kind of talking about. But for
I
me,
guess
I believe that human beings have souls, and Neo is at least half human. So therefore, to me, he would have a soul.
Mass Effect fans, does this unit have a soul? I think Matrix, if there are, I think it's for humans and machines. Everyone's got them. Sentience has them. That's, I think, what's going on in that universe. Trying to see if I missed anything in chat, because I'm not ignoring you, anyone in chat. I'm not. There's just a lot, and I'm not super lucid, and I am running a little short on time.
Yeah, no, I'm about to say we're getting close to your hard stop, and yeah,
I can go a little longer, but not too much. Not like last week. I'm not going to touch on a like hard religious stuff beyond immediate relevance to the plot of the movies. I want to be respectful of everyone's beliefs. Elite of people? Oh, I feel like as a fandom we shouldn't thumb our noses at people who didn't get it or didn't like it. But I do feel that aspects of the trilogy were not appreciated until later on. Is I think a fair descriptor.
well, the way I word it is that it's a choose your own adventure, and in
There's
the
a lot
sense
of
that you can take away from it as much as you want to,
that's
or
fair.
even more that's even actually there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know that any other franchise has done that for me.
I think when it comes to fictional universes, Matrix occupies the biggest chunk of my brain. Star Wars might have more of my heart, but definitely mentally, Matrix has the most to think about. Again, I described 4 as a movie I don't like, but I don't think I thought this much about a movie in years.
Exactly, because I mean, other than the midichlorians, Star Wars explains everything for the most part.
And you know what? They kind of fixed that in Clone Wars. I'll give Dave
Right,
all the
right.
credit in the world for walking that back without throwing it away either. But yeah, Star Wars was never that deep. It's more about the universe, characters, than any big idea.
The legacy aspects.
Like there's that video game, Knights of the Old Republic 2. They get deep with the philosophy in that one, but for the most part, that franchise is not meant to be thought about too much. Looking through chat.
So V, are you working on any projects?
I was just finishing something while I was in front of my computer. I'm probably gonna vet it through you first,
Okay.
and I don't know. It's a little bit different. It'll be a pinstripe, probably T-shirt, and I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, cool.
Now, I do want to answer a question. Does anyone in chat have any sort of questions about my hypothesis, my interpretation that Matrix Online still counts? Anyone have any objections to that? Because I don't want to be just agreed with. I'd love to hear other takes. I want to know where I may have been deficient. Otherwise, I have a request to make of Laz.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you coming out here and making it a detail specific thing. Like I was willing to agree with you before you gave me the details. So I knew it wasn't really necessarily uh something that, like I said, it wasn't something that I was going to necessarily debate you or disagree with you on, but I definitely wanted to not only hear your own uh how you
Sure.
came to that conclusion on your own, but I wanted to share that with others because like I said, I feel like most people uh if you ask them, if we took a poll, in fact, that's actually a good poll question. I'll ask that. Do you think that the Matrix Resurrections was retconned, or excuse me, do you think the Matrix Resurrections retconned the Matrix Online? That'd be a
That's
good poll
In a
question.
way, that's the most interesting thing because a lot of people who played the game and saw the movie went away saying it doesn't count. And a lot of people who were only vaguely familiar with the game thought for sure it did count. Like when they had the honest trailers, they explained Lord
Right.
Fishburne's absence as being from Matrix Online. Not thrilled that they call it the bad video game, but that's okay.
Well, and that was kind of my thing. It's like, if you didn't play, excuse me, and if you haven't been here, soaking up all this original Matrix 4 podcast type knowledge, then it's like, well, what are you basing this off of? You got to be
How they
basing it off
feel.
of somebody else's. Well, but I mean, if you didn't know the story on your own, then you got to be saying it was retcon because you heard somebody else say it. Is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah, facts don't matter, man. It's just how you feel.
Well,
Right?
here's how I feel, and then
And
as
people believe the craziest shit. Yeah.
well, yeah, like Matrix Online. Les, this should be in the root directory of the files I sent you last time. Just put that up. I feel I earned this.
Did you send it to me? Oh, okay, yeah.
It's in the batch of files. If not, I can just plop that in Discord right now.
No, I got the picture.
Just yeah. Let's just get Reiko to put that up front now. Replace the Sony Online splash screen with that.
So there you go.
That's I don't know. I just feel all right. So Empty Arcade, your takeaway. Empty Arcade, your takeaway is that it's its own separate interpretation. Resurrections neither confirms nor denies it, or that you just feel it throws it away.
Wait, real quick. Let's. Where's the screenshot from?
Oh, that's just me having fun. That's from some fan game that has nothing to do with Matrix. I just thought it'd be funny.
No, because it looks like Quake.
It looks like a lot of things. Yeah, I
Right.
have time to explain that, but they borrowed resources from a lot of things.
So wait, repeat the question. What was the question now?
Empty Arcade is saying Matrix Online is its own is its own lore. I'm trying to understand what he means by that.
I guess there's you can take it that Marvel multiverse Matrix multi-city, the truce era, or what we were doing in Matrix Online was, its own MIM situation. You could go that route, I guess. Maybe
I guess you could go the route that was one of Thomas Anderson's games too, I guess, but yeah,
right.
Empty Arcade, still not exactly.
Right, that was his first Morpheus modal experiment.
No, that'd be the third one that didn't work out so well. Empty Arcade. I want to hear you. I'm just when you say it's its own lore, what exactly do you mean? And Andre, I agree with that.
I was about to say I can definitely co-sign to that comment. The canon
the
is
best
the
friends and
along
most
the way.
beautiful human relationships I have ever had stem from Matrix Online.
I mean, even talking to you guys, and we didn't play
Yeah.
together, and
Not
being
not
able to
knowing not knowingly. Vesuvius and I were there when Sim Morpheus first appeared as Sim Morpheus.
well,
We
right,
didn't know.
right, you guys were on the same server. I wasn't even on your server though.
Yeah, but I was. You were on Vector. I was for a while one of the APN liaisons.
Oh, right, Lisa.
Yeah, I think we passed each other, but I don't think I
We didn't
ever
really.
threw a knife at Starshwar.
Good times. Empty Arcade. I'm talking about what you're talking about. I'm just not sure what you're saying. I'm trying to understand. I am. Dega. Why did Neo think his powers would work outside the Matrix? He felt them in the same way he felt he could stop the bullets. I guess.
He says I can feel them before he zaps the Sentinels. Real quick, right, because MTRK says I see that Matrix 4 is about answering some of the mysteries in Matrix 1 through 3. A couple.
So MTRK, if I'm understanding what you're saying, is basically we shouldn't care. That's just different works by different people. That whether they connect or not, we shouldn't obsess by it. Is that what you're getting at? I'm not putting words in your mouth. I'm just trying to get to the root of what you're saying here.
Yeah, I think this kind of speaks to the point that we were talking about in prep, just that with the Animatrix and the Matrix comics, the artists were allowed to do their own world building. But it worked out that there isn't a whole lot of contradiction to the existing story, even with all that independence creatively.
Remember, the Matrix is a comic book first. Oh, are you talking about was it the Invisibles or whichever one that they said was plagiarized from? Or, I'm not sure what he's on about, what they're on about. Were some of the comics on the website before the movie came out?
Yes.
Oh,
They
okay.
they were on they were released. I knew they were made. They were released before the movie came out.
I'm asking. I'm not sure what MTRK is saying. Where the Matrix is a comic book first. I don't know what he means.
Well, the storyboard was basically a big comic.
Isn't that every movie storyboard though?
Not to the
Nah.
detail that
Yeah.
the Matrix.
You mean? Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Okay.
But I don't know that that's what
I
he's
think
saying.
previously for them, usually I think at least prior to the Matrix, storyboards were mostly for action scenes.
That's all right.
I mean, I guess it's no. There's scenes that weren't action scenes that were like most of the Matrix was storyboarded. They had to storyboard the whole damn thing because nobody understood it.
Much of the imagery does evoke that look and feel. All right, I think I get what you're saying, MTRK. You say that just because the Wachowskis didn't personally write Matrix Online, that we shouldn't discount it. I'm not putting words in your mouth. I just want to understand your point.
But yeah, also, if you're just now joining us or came in late, I know people were saying sorry that I was late. There's no need to apologize. The playback is always ready to go immediately after we close the class session there. So you can always go back and listen to what you missed. Again, please make sure that you like the stream if you haven't already. And yeah, like I said, we're gonna figure out what day the next live stream should be, the Beyond the Glitch watch party. So we have seen and taken your votes, and we're going to take your suggestion and run with that as the plan for how we're going to approach it. Although V, you did make a good comment on Twitter. You said we can do option 3 first and then circle back if need be. I kind of like that. That grew on me real fast. Hey, shout out to Randy. like I just said, man, you know the playback is there, so no worries. Uh, thanks for coming out as always. Um, and actually, yeah, Randy posted a really cool fan edit on Twitter the other day. So yeah, I mean, is there any other things you guys wanted to cover?
I feel like that's it. I'm kind of surprised that my ramblings made some sense to y'all, and I hope I have enriched your Matrix experience. You've enriched mine, and looking forward to more. I'm not always myself. I'm not always here, but it's been great talking with you both again. And
Real quick, now have you? So you still haven't seen Glitch yet, right? You're saving yourself for
I,
the live experience.
when you put it that way, unless you want me to watch it in advance, I will wait till you say it's time to
Oh
watch
no,
it.
it's totally your discretion. I mean, no pressure.
All right, real quick, MTRK Matrix Online is a comic book set up as a video game. Absolutely. Paul Chadwick's background was comic books, and it very much felt the stories would play out like classic comic book arcs sometimes, even with the titles, like Death of the Destroyer feels like would have been, some the Marvel or DC something or other. Joker, Matrix Illuminati symbols, not going to touch on that, but in the in-game newspaper, the Sentinel, the all-seeing eye on the pyramid, if you clicked it, you'd often get a message relating to Zion or E Pluribus Neo. Make of that what you will.
Right, that's what I was gonna say. If I let me put that back up on the screen if it's still there. And it is right because the cheat codes that storyline was very comic booky once they got their powers.
That was like the most, yeah, but I meant more in terms of like how it played out, and that's the most obvious thing to point out for comic book influence. I mean, the way stories would be told, and they'd weave in and out of them, and they'd have a conclusion, and then on to the next one. Yeah, I think I know what I'm getting at.
Scorp Trio says as PS
Zion.
10N. Yeah. I learned Matrix MxO things from you guys, and that's quite the feat. Thanks so much for the talk of glory days. I'm thrilled Lana decided to make Matrix 4. Me too, because I mean, without Matrix 4, it'd be just me, Vesuvius, and Starshwar talking to ourselves. Although we had a good time that first time too.
Oh, absolutely, and believe me, if not for my health stuff, we would have kept that going. I still want to do those character deep dives eventually.
Right,
But
dude, I forgot all about the
we started with Train Man, then I just
Yeah, we're gonna come back to that. We're gonna come back to that. Yeah, I don't want to put too many details of that out quite yet
oh,
because I want to finish that. No, you're right. No, that's
I'm sorry for
important.
talking about thing that definitely didn't happen. I do
That's
that sometimes.
no, that's important work that you're talking about there. So we're definitely gonna put that out there. Because I forgot about it, so I'm like actually really excited that you remembered because we got to do that now. You know what I mean? Things are way different than when we came up with that idea, so we got to finish that idea. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, go ahead because I don't even remember how we fell down that tangent. But oh right, this comment here. No, this comment here because the one that's on the screen because that's the thing. I mean, the cool part for me is you guys teach me a lot of stuff. I mean, Randy was tagging me in a lot of important stuff when the film was coming out, and I've learned a lot just talking to other hardcore Matrix fans over the last 2 years. People are pointing out things to this day that I didn't notice.
I'm still getting appreciation for things that I didn't appreciate at the time, and I was there for a lot of it. But
right, and sometimes you just see things with fresh eyes. Sometimes you learn something else, and then that makes you see something else in there differently. So there's a lot, yeah.
And so as always, I'm gonna have to call us in. I want to thank you all. Had a really good time. whether or not it's canon, we may never know. But for me, right now, the movie makes more sense with Matrix Online. Matrix Online makes more sense with the movie. Maybe I'm up to apathy now. Maybe I'm up to apathy for Matrix 5, and that's what I needed. But in all seriousness, thank you both. Thank you, everyone in chat, and hope we can do something similar sometime soon if my energy permits.
Yeah, no, you keep talking about it. I think you're gonna fall in love with it, man. But on that note,
I could take a break from it from a while, but eventually I'll watch that Blu-ray, and maybe then it'll click.
yeah, that's fair. Sometimes
I
you
need a break.
I know. My
get
break
it
was like a few days. There was like a few days where I was just like, okay, I just need a Matrix break. Like,
Me, I need to just get it out of my head in a way. I need to just work it through both of you, the continuity stuff. I think I've gone through my as a movie stuff with other people plenty for why I didn't care for about. But I think you two are like the only ones who could really, to this level, get me through the Niobe's info dump not making perfect sense on its own thing. So so once again, thank you all. What I miss?
no, I can't put that on the screen, but if you look in the comments, there's some funny stuff going on. By none other than the Joker. But on that note,
no,
right,
right. Do not link that.
I'm not.
Joker, thanks, no thanks. I'm good.
Class is dismissed.
Take care, everybody.